A very good morning, it's Fabio and welcome back to another daily market update. We are here on EURUSD. We're going to dive in and see where the potential trades are to be taken for today. Furthermore, two very interesting news announcements which caused increased amounts of volatility last night. First of all, Trump floats cutting China tariffs substantially in a trade deal. This saw increased strength for the Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar, and the US dollar as well last night. And furthermore, Trump also said that he had no intention of firing Jerome Powell, who is the head of the Fed. Furthermore, Musk to refocus on ailing Tesla with Doge work mostly done. This caused Tesla stocks to fly as well. So let's dive into the markets real quick just to show you guys. Tesla stocks jumped back up higher last night, as we can see here on the 1 hour time frame. Furthermore, going into EURUSD, we can see an increased amount of dollar strength, and especially last night here at around 11 p.m. Central Eastern Time, we saw a massive spike in towards the downside of around 120 pips, which again had to do with the fact of those two news announcements that I just mentioned. Now, what we're looking for here on EURUSD is some further potential downside, because remember here on the monthly time frame, I mentioned in yesterday's video that we had that monthly area of supply from which I expect there to be some further push in towards the downside, well, pretty much at least in towards this overall sell before the buy that we have over here on the monthly. Going into the daily time frame, we can see that the daily has now seen a change of character. So we had a break of this fractal low over here, meaning that this is now your current fractal low, this is now your current fractal high. Now, this is mainly going to be dependent on today's candle close. I want to see today's candle close over here, because that would mean that this buy before the sell would then be the perfect area of supply to look for a further short in towards the downside. However, if you are a little bit more aggressive, you can already look for those further shorts, but do remember that we've already grabbed pretty much all of the liquidity underneath this internal low. What we had here was an overall clean push in towards the upside. A lot of traders viewing this as an area of demand, where they then place their potential entry limit on top of with their stop loss underneath the lows. However, the issue with taking these kind of trades is that there's no liquidity in the overall push up. And I'll show this example on gold later in this video, but you can very clearly see a strong push in towards the upside. There's no liquidity in the overall push up. Therefore, the low itself then gets liquidated. So the overall short-term short target has now been fulfilled, but still the overall momentum is in towards the downside. Looking here at the daily change of character, which is bearish, the 4 hour change of character that is bearish, and the 1 hour time frame here, which is bearish as well. So what I'm now looking for is for us to at least take out this high once again, as there is no liquidity again in the overall push down. So what I'll be looking for is maybe one more push up into, for example, this supply zone over here, take out this high, then look for shorts, something like that, and then see a bearish daily candle close, which will then confirm that we can look for more shorts in towards the end of the week. Back down lower in towards where? In towards pretty much this purple zone that we have over here. So interested in some shorts for EURUSD on the short term, but it also has to kind of align with what we're seeing on the dollar index, because the dollar index is now inside daily supply. As we can see here, pretty much the exact zone that I mentioned in yesterday's video has now been hit. So this here is our daily area of supply, and that could start causing the market to push down lower again. However, we did see a 4 hour change of character. Keep that in mind. And for now, the immediate market structure is looking bullish. Looking here at the 1 hour time frame, not a lot of clean price action just yet. What I'm pretty much just looking at is for this overall supply zone, obviously, to push the market down lower. If we do break the current fractal high here on the daily, that would be a sign that more bullish momentum is yet to come, and then we could start pushing up higher in towards this daily area of supply that we have over here. But this will mainly have to do with those trade deals that I've been talking about. Will he indeed cut those tariffs on China? This is pretty much the most important part of everything. You need to keep an eye on these kind of announcements, because if there is literally a deal established with China, the dollar index is going to fly in towards the highs. And to be very honest, it is still at a very nice level to start flying, guys, because if we look here over on the weekly time frame, we can see the accumulation phase, the manipulation, the distribution, and after taking out the lows of the accumulation phase, you preferably would want to see a pullback, at least, for example, in towards that weekly supply zone. So definitely interested in looking for buys here on the dollar index, which would mean, for example, shorts on EURUSD, but also on GBPUSD. But now looking at AUDUSD first, and then I'll dive into GU. AU saw a strong push in towards lows yesterday from that supply zone that I mentioned. Remember, I was telling you guys that this was a strong area of supply, liquidated this high over here, and then we saw a nice candle close. We tap in, and straight away, boom, we push back down lower again. But then as soon as there was news of a trade deal, or of the lowering of tariffs from China. The Australian dollar obviously pumped in towards the highs, as the Australian dollar is very well connected to the Chinese economy. And if China doesn't have, or if the United States removes those tariffs from China, that means that the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar, which are risk on pairs, are going to start pumping again very, very hard. That's also why we, for example, saw AUDCHF pump very, very hard in towards the evening last night with this massive, massive 4-hour candle. Same for Aussie yen. We saw an Aussie yen pump in towards the upside as well. So it all has to do with the fundamentals, guys. And the same goes now for Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar is now obviously inside a 4-hour supply, so you could look for a potential short down lower once again. However, it is fundamentally not the best trade of them all, I would say. But what you would now want to do is you would want to wait for the 1 hour or for the 15-minute time frame. Depending on what time frame you want to be trading, you should look for bearish confirmation to start kicking in. Here on the 15-minute time frame, I don't really see any clean areas of supply here to our left, so not a big fan. Looking at the 1 hour time frame as well, nothing really clean in regards to supply. So what you would want to wait for is maybe one more sweep up. This becomes a fractal low, and then kind of like engineer an area of supply which is then strong to push the market down lower again. So let's see what happens inside of this 4-hour supply zone. But if there's no confirmation at all, just skip it, because for now the bullish momentum is still here. We can see the push up, pull back, push up, pull back. So just follow that momentum until we see the change of character again, which is the market structure shift, to then confirm that those lower prices are potentially possible. Now, a pair that is much more interesting is again GBPUSD. Looking at GU, we can see that pretty much exactly what we discussed yesterday has been fulfilled. We were looking for those short-term shorts into that purple zone, that daily area of demand. Now, from there, we're seeing the market push back up again. Obviously, demand is still in control. Daily fractal low over here, daily fractal high over here. We see a retracement all the way into discount prices of the daily fractal structure into towards the gray zone. And then if you look at the 4-hour, you can again see us taking out a lot of these equal lows that we had over there. Going into the 1 hour, again, you see all of these equal lows over here get taken out, and the exact same thing happened on gold, which I'm going to touch upon in a second. But overall, GBPUSD makes sense to, on the immediate time frame, just push back up higher a bit. But overall, I am still interested in keeping an eye on some further short positions here on GU. But obviously, the momentum is still bullish. The daily fractal is still bullish. So the real shorts, in my opinion, will only start coming once we break the current fractal low, which is your market structure low. Because for now, we get a push up, a retracement, a push up, a retracement. Now we're just seeing demand being in control. So let's really wait here on the daily time frame for the current fractal low to break, for that demand zone, this purple zone to break, and then we'll get in some higher probability short positions for GBPUSD. Until then, I would personally stay out of shorts and only be interested in longs. Going into NZDUSD, we can see that NU also pushed up higher again with the news that there was a deal with China to be made, or that the sanctions on China would be lowered. But again, you can see here how perfectly the daily fractal structure is playing out. Again, the fractal low, the current FL being respected, this demand zone which I mentioned yesterday being respected and pushing the market up higher once again. Overall, the NZDUSD is not looking too good for longs just yet. It would need to break the current fractal high, but what I'm looking for more is this internal trend. Does that break? So we break this low over here, then I'll be interested in getting in some more short positions. If we break the current fractal high, I'll be staying out. Yes, you could look for some longs, but you're trading against the 4-hour fractal structure, and looking here at the daily demand is still in control, so that just could simply push the market up higher. So yeah, ideally, I would want to see a deeper correction down lower. But overall, yeah, it will depend on the current fractal low. For now, bullish market structure remains, so longs are the only thing that are on the table for myself until we break the current fractal low here on the daily, okay? Going into gold, guys, gold was an absolute beauty. We talked about this yesterday, remember, on the 1-hour time frame, especially for those who were there in the live stream. We do those every single Tuesday and Thursday. I mentioned all of these equal lows here, and you can see all of them get taken out. This 1-hour supply zone, again, pushing the market down lower. You see how well the order flow overall holds. Here, buy before the sell, tap in, push down. Here again, boom, boom. Now this is in control. So keep an eye currently on this buy before the sell over here that is currently in control. And that should still push the market down lower. Gold obviously pushed down lower with the news that Trump was not going to fire Powell. That caused gold to dump very, very aggressively. And That's actually the main news announcement why gold pushed down lower so much. But overall, gold is still very, very bullish. But overall, I am still interested in some further shorts, preferably to take out this internal low that we have over here. Yes, there is demand inside this sub for the buy, but there's also still demand open in this sub for the buy. So I'm looking preferably for some further downside still on gold until we see a substantial reversal in the form of a double 1 hour fractal structure shift. And what does that mean? It means break the current fractal high, so break this current supply zone, retracement, and then get another push up and create another demand zone, and that is then what I'll be interested in longs. Otherwise, until then, just wait for the market to continue pushing down lower into one of those higher time frame areas of demand. And last of all, some opportunities. I'm looking for longs on dollar yen and dollar Swiss. Dollar yen overall broke the daily fractal high. Very ugly candle at the moment though, but we did break it. What I would love to see today is a strong daily candle close. This then becomes your demand zone, and then from tomorrow in towards the end of the week I'll look for longs. Otherwise, this was just more liquidity grab, which will fuel the next move down lower. And the same is for dollar Swiss. Dollar Swiss looking for further upside again as well. Daily fractal structure change. So let's see today if we get a strong daily candle close. This becomes your daily area of demand, and then I'll look for more upside because dollar Swiss is in a really nice region, especially if you look here at the monthly time frame. You can see that we're now in a buying zone. This is kind of like my imbalance, these two wicks here. And you can see every single time in the past that we came in towards there, the market was buying. So you can pretty much see like the 0.8 region to 0.81. That's where you want to be buying. So I'm already in a dollar Swiss long position, but I'm looking for more longs pretty much from this overall order flow in towards the upside. So for me, I got in pretty much somewhere over here, but look for more longs on dollar Swiss to rebound this buy back up higher. Okay, that is personally what I will be doing. No financial advice. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Wish you all a fantastic trading day. Speak to you guys in Discord, link in the description of this video.